Exit Talks, episode 35 with the Subtheory. I ain't stopping. Why should I stop? I should keep going, just keep this arm at rest. I'm gonna be fine, you know what I'm saying? Yo, how is everyone doing? Exit Talks, episode 35. Thanks to everyone who tuned in last time for the year anniversary show. Yo, let's get some people who I know was around. My invite, there we go. I didn't do many, but yeah. So we all good, people. Yeah. So today's Exit Talks is with the Subtheory. You ready for this? It's Exit Talks. Hey, up the wheelies. Where are we? Let's go. This is the. Let's go. Coming in. Hey.
How you doing?
Set the volumes up. Hey.
Turn it up. Turn it up.
Right, let's go. Wait a minute. There we go. I'll wait for that taste bit. That bit, my favourite bit's coming.
That was it. That bit.
How we doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, more to the point? How's your shoulder?
Yeah, man. Oh, just
clavicle.
like basic. I've been in hospital and they're discussing whether they're gonna if they're gonna operate on it or not, and they're gonna let me know in the morning. So yeah, so pretty rubbish.
Does it hurt?
Yeah, it hurts, man. Yeah, literally, I won't bring it up like any further.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like, the funny thing is, I can move my shoulders like this. I'm absolutely fine, sort of thing. But as soon
Yeah.
as I sort of raise my elbow up, that's when it starts to hurt, man. So
Yeah. So none of this.
yeah, I could do that on my left. But, man, I was like, I'm not gonna stop the show for a bit. Like, no, I can keep going. I can keep. If I'm sitting straight up, then I'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
It's all wrong.
You're doing good though, yeah?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Sorry it took so long. Like the longest
Okay.
I've ever had. My car broke down, and then I got the dates confused the time before, man. I was like,
it's all good,
and then
mate.
this happened literally, I think, that day, didn't it? Or the day before?
Yeah. It was a couple of hours before something. It's like I thought it was never going to be. Never going to happen.
But I'll be looking forward to this one because, man,
Yes, me too.
Like, for the last few weeks, I've studied your stuff like proper.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Like, really enjoy it. Like, you know, like, well, let's just jump into the new track for a second. Like, Fader came out. When did it come in? When did it come out?
So I think it originally came out in April for the Quick Fits singles, what it's called, Singles Club, where you sign up basically and you get like one single a month. So it came out in April for that, and then it was released on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. on the last day of April, so 30th April. So it's been out about a month now, and it's gone crazy. It's gone because it's a bit more rocky than I'd normally do, because obviously like the heavy guitars and stuff. So it's kind of it got picked up a lot by a lot of the metal stations.
Okay.
So it's been played a lot by. I've been talking to a lot of like rock and roll kind of shows, which is odd. Like I'm an electronic artist. Yeah. But it's all good because it's all, you know. I don't.
It feels like so much is fused into it though. Like there's so much,
right.
Like you could say many different styles in there. Like I'd say that's my favorite. I'd say definitely.
Good.
You know what? Do you know what's crazy? As soon as I listened to it, like I felt like I was playing on like my Mega Drive. Like, you know what I'm saying? That is exactly how I felt. Like I was playing, I don't know, like an old like I don't know, spaceship like shooting game kind of thing.
Right.
I can't remember what it's called, but it reminded me of that proper. And then it's funny because I looked at your bio and it says like dreaming of that 8-bit machine waiting at
Right,
home and stuff
right,
like that.
right.
So I was like, oh yeah, okay. So I was like, I'm glad I saw that connection before I read
Yeah,
that as well.
that means a lot, because when people get that, I'm like, yes, because that's exactly what it's about. It's like I got like Mega Drive, like Super Nintendo, that kind of era. So for me, that's exactly the what I was thinking of whenever I'm making music, because I'm like thinking about the influence being from the soundtracks to those games.
Yeah.
Super Bomberman and
Oh
NBA
yeah.
NBA Jam and Micro Machines and all
Oh,
them kind of.
yeah, Micro Machines games.
Yeah,
I still got my Mega Drive. I still bust it out now and then. You
still
know
got
what I
it.
mean?
Nice.
Yeah, still got it. Like with Micro Machines and stuff like that on it as well. But like,
I've got
yeah, like.
I've got an N64 somewhere, but I don't know if it works.
So when you first started doing this track, were you sort of like thinking of going on a rocky path, or just the way it kind of went? Like,
No, so originally, it started off as just a pure kind of I don't know, like late '90s, almost like not quite breakbeat, but it's kind of like that sort of tempo, that sort of almost big beat a little bit. And I was kind of finished it, the demo of it, and I was like, God, fuck, it's missing something. It's kind of half there. It's not quite there.
yeah,
So I sent it to Sam Brox from the Dust Junkies, and he just sent back like a jam that he did on top of it. And so I've got the stems, and I was like, he said, use what you want out of it. And I was like, I just want to use all of it, because every single part of it is like incredible. He's like the most amazing guitarist. I don't really know a lot about guitarists, but like when you find a sort of someone who's exceptional. So
yeah,
I was listening to him, going, I don't want to take any of that out. So I just moved
yeah,
a few bits around and chopped a bit out. But generally speaking, it's as he played it. And that was like finished it. I didn't even know it really needed that. I just knew it needed something. So he sort of turned it on his head a little bit and turned it into a bit of a rockier type track. But it's kind of heavy, and I kind of like that heavy feel, whether it's rock or hip hop or
yeah.
electronic. As long as it's sort of heavy and authentic, that's what I'm after.
And then like loads of you say radio stations picked up and stuff, like a lot of rock radio stations. That must be really cool,
Got some did some interviews with some stateside rock stations, and it's kind of weird because you listen back and there's a heavy metal track, and then there's like a death metal track, and then there's my track. like it's not the usual thing I'm sort of used to, so it's quite nice. It's quite nice.
Well, I'm sorry. Let's say, I mean, what I've been looking at is you. Where are you right now? Then are you in Oxford or LA?
Yeah,
like,
no, Oxford. Yeah, it's lockdown. Lockdown means I haven't been able to travel back.
Yeah, so you haven't been in LA since before the beginning. Oh, okay.
And I'll be honest. I don't really want to sit on a flight for 10 hours with a bunch of people that I don't know whether they were coughing on me or not. So
yeah,
I'm not necessarily germphobic, but
yeah,
But
before that though, you were like going between the two places then, sort of thing.
Yeah. So I met my wife out there, and she's still got a business out there, so we'd like do that, and then obviously the plan was to do it a bit more, but
yeah,
life stopped for a little while. So
yeah, you get your music out there as well though, in a way.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's
completely different places though. Oxford and LA is so different. It must be like
massively. Here, I think that's the thing. Like Oxford's obviously renowned for more like guitar bands, so it's like people like Radiohead and Supergrass, Ride, and Foals, etc. But people like Glass Animals, I think, are a bit more interesting because they're not really guitar band, they're not really sort of electronic, they're sort of somewhere in the middle, and it's interesting. Go out to the States, and you say you're from Oxford. Before it was like, oh, well, no, Radiohead. Now it's all Glass Animals. I had no idea they were that big until
they were that big. Yeah, neither did I. Neither did I. Like that's mad.
Yeah, and of course they're like hanging out with like A$AP Rocky and doing stuff with them. So it's this whole thing you don't even know is going on because it's all happening over there and doesn't really come over here. It's kind of crazy. So,
well, where's the craziest place your music has got to? Would you say?
I'm sure a lot of people do that. They always look at like the map, and there's quite a lot of people in Argentina and Brazil. I think so. I ran a competition start of the year to give away a T-shirt away, and the guy that won it has just pulled the name out of a hat. Didn't know where he was from. Read his name out, and then sort of contacted him. He's like, "Oh yeah, thank you. Can you send it to Brazil?" I'm like,
Wow.
I wasn't expecting to have to send it to Brazil.
Brazil, yeah.
And it's the one country it's really difficult to ship to. So
man, that must have got a bit, yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like I've never been South America, but I'd really love to go. So for me, like I'd love like to have like a big enough audience to go, yeah, I'm just going to go and play over there, because I think they really, really appreciate it. But I guess a lot of people, it takes a lot for a lot of music to kind of travel down that way because it's so far.
Yeah.
So that'd be good. That'd be good for me.
Well, the thing about your music, I think as well, is like it can hit a lot of different people. Like I listen to it, I feel like there's aspects of all sorts of genres in there. Like, if you had to say all the genres you think you've done something for, like kind of thing, how many would you say you've got? You know what I mean?
Well, I started up because it's all the sort of things I'm into. So it's the stuff that I grew up listening to. I started off as a break dancer. I started off as a rapper, not a very good rapper. Realized that there's in fact I started making music because at the time there was no one to make beats for me, and YouTube wasn't around, so I couldn't get. So I literally just went, I'm going to teach myself how to do this so I can make beats to rap over. I actually realized that I'm a way better producer than I am ever going to be as a rapper. So that's kind of where I went down. So for me, that's very much my roots. But at the same time, I grew up listening to like a lot of TV themes, a lot of film themes that had that kind of synth electronic kind of feel. So for me, it was like I always wanted to make like hip hop that was synthetic, with synths and stuff, which is kind of crazy because I obviously got a sampler and started making it that way. But I think for me, there probably isn't many different genres I wouldn't use or wouldn't touch, even if I wasn't directly doing a lot with it. I'd sample some stuff, or take some inspiration. Like classical music's a great example. Little bits you go, I'm gonna, I can do something with that. That's because I'm doing a lot of soundtrack stuff at the moment, sort of outside of the things I release.
Yeah.
And that's quite challenging because they'll say like, oh, we need an orchestral piece to do this, or we need. I'm doing a documentary that's coming up about protests. They say we want some protest music. It's going to be like military sounding.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you start that? It's like, how do you even you know what I mean? That's mad.
It's just I'm like, okay, let me go and disappear down a YouTube rabbit hole for a while, listen to some other stuff, get inspired, and then hopefully come up with something that's original and rather than just ripped off.
Some people could say though that this is how they find protest music to sound like that. Other people might find it to sound like that. You know what I mean? That's also another problem, isn't it?
Right. And that's the thing. But it's funny because quite often you get a brief to say very specific. It needs to do this. It needs to be this style. It needs to be this tempo. Sometimes they'll just go, "Oh, we want it to be angry."
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what does that mean? I don't know. It's and that's funny because I actually quite like them. I find it harder when they restrict you.
Yeah.
And say, "Oh, you got to do this, do that." Like
the challenging as well. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, let's just keep it vague, keep it brief, and let me come up with something. That's it's the way I like to run.
Yeah, man. So that's sort of like the origin story, kind of. Like, so you said you started producing. Well, you started rapping and producing. Do you still have any of them? So basically, you've been when you're a rapper, you must have made like a track with you producing it. Like, have you still got any of them early ones? Somewhere.
I'm probably never going to see the light of day if I'm honest. Because
so how long were you doing that for, though? Like, how many years? Until you realise I'm just going to produce there for a bit.
probably longer than I went on before I should have realised. I guess, put it this way, so this will date me. I gave up when people in the UK still used US accents to rap.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, there was that time it switched. It went like, you're going to sound American. No, you're going to use your actual accent. You're going to actually sound like you are where you come from.
Yeah.
So that's sort of around that kind of turn of the decade, turn of the century, sorry, I think.
Yeah.
So around that sort of time I went, that's time to
late
do something
90s
different.
Then, sort of.
Yeah, basically. I was that old school kind of, I used to walk around with a backpack
Yeah.
upper back and East Pack or whatever, and dream of being in like ciphers and
Yeah.
weren't happening.
You started producing though. You made enough connections to start producing by then, sort of thing, like for
Yeah,
artists and stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you remember
So
the first big production you made, like sort of thing? Sorry to interrupt there, man. But yeah.
no, that's cool. It's cool. Sorry, I was. So the first big production, probably. So like Mike Righteous and English Frank.
Yeah, yeah. I know, Mike. Right? Yeah.
It was I did a freestyle beat for them.
Yeah.
I don't even know what happened to it. It was just I did a beat and I sent it to a guy called One Wish, I was doing some stuff with, and he was part of this thing, the People's Army at the time, which was Mike Righteous, Loki,
Loki, yeah.
yeah, all those sort of guys, and it was like a bit of a conscious movement, and then somehow they used it, and I was like, yeah, amazing, that's this them, and I never got a copy of it, and I don't know.
Oh wow.
Anyone else has got a copy, and I'm like, I keep going. I really wish I had, but it's just to see them both sort of trading bars.
Yeah.
It was just like that's it.
That's it. Yeah. That would have been a good feeling, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, you kept doing that. But then when you started like releasing your own tracks and stuff, how did you make that change, kind of thing? Did it just start happen, kind of thing?
I think I took a bit of a break and just did it like not kind of consciously. I just went, I'm just gonna go back and learn my craft a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I always have that thing where you doubt yourself a little bit. Some people are just full of confidence and didn't do anything in it, and like usually like that, they snap fingers and they're good at something. I was never like that, and I think for me, I wanted to go off and make sure that when I sort of did release something, it was like of the quality I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Didn't always work, and I think sometimes I probably went, oh, that's made a mistake, I'll go back and learn. So I did a couple of different projects. One with a friend of mine, which was this really stupidly named thing. If you've ever done a thing where you name something, think that's really clever.
Yeah, and then
you realise, oh no, it's terrible. Nobody gets it.
Yeah.
And we got some play on like BBC Introducing and some other stuff, and nobody could pronounce the names. So we're like, yeah, that doesn't work, does it? Nobody got it. Nobody gets it. We thought it'd be clever. It's like mysterious.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
It was a mysterious 2, but the S and the N was a 2, so it looked like Mysteria 2. Mysteria. People, and they'd be going Mysterio.
Oh, okay, so no one ever pronounced it.
No, I was like, okay, that didn't work. Didn't work. But we had this whole thing that we were like aliens, and that we weren't. We didn't show our faces, and we all wore masks, and it was just generally like it's that thing. In fact, the next project after that, I wore a mask for a long time as well. So it's clearly something where it's like, I don't want to show my face. I just want to make this sort of faceless thing and just have people enjoy the music. I skipped ahead a bit before. I think I was signed to 2 major labels before, but nothing really came out of that. We never got to release anything. So it was always a bit that, hey, Strafe, are you all right? We're always, people. Everyone's got these stories about the music industry and how much it's full of sharks and whatnot. Yeah. And it's like I was a bit naive and didn't believe it, but I've actually been on the inside of it and seen it and been there. And people are like, "We love you. You're going to be big." And we signed a £1 million record, £750,000 record deal, and you're going to do all this and do all that. And then it just like that, it clicks, and they don't want to know you. You don't get your phone calls, chip returned.
Yeah.
People don't they just go cold on you. They don't look you in the eye anymore. It's like, come on, this is like a parody. This is like you see films and this happens.
You see films,
real. But it is. It's such a cutthroat business. So that's why, and let's go back to the point I was making before that, was I wanted to be independent and I wanted to sort of do things what I wanted when I wanted to do them and not be told, you need to do something like this, you need to be like this, you need to make a track that sounds like this, or this is trending, you need to do something like that.
Is that what it's like a little bit, like quite a lot? Would you show them some tracks you've done? They'd be like, "Now we want it a little bit different," and then That's what I hear from most people. It's like, no, but this is me. Like, you can't change. You know, you sign me for who I am in it, sort of thing. And then,
right.
Yeah.
They have this thing where they go. Well, that's the thing. There's an old music industry joke saying, how many A&R men does it take to change a light bulb? I don't know. What do you think? Because nobody wants to give an opinion. Everybody is scared as an A&R person because you can quite comfortably live in a job for about 18 months without signing anyone, and you'll keep that job, but you sign one person that fails, and that's it. You never work in the industry again. Yeah. So it's kind of, everybody's just out for themselves, which obviously that's the industry side of it, it's the business side of it. But nobody really, very few people want to take a chance because they know that if they do and it fails, then they're out.
And that's that, yeah.
So they play safe. It's all about playing safe. They go, I can't think of an example. Who's a modern pop band? Little Mix?
Yeah.
Right, so they go, right, Little Mix are doing this, we need to do something the same. And that's what they do. So,
isn't it? Mad.
I don't listen to pop, so I don't know. Sorry?
Huh? How do you kind of change the way things are, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Someone unique coming in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a little bit...
It's the same formula, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
And that's a little bit what's happening now, I think. There's a bit of a democratization of the music industry in that, because it's so easy, you can write, produce, mix, master, release, promote, market, everything on your own, pretty much. I think it scared the music industry quite a lot.
Yeah.
And without getting too political about it, that's probably why they did such a big push to buy up companies like Spotify, because I don't know if you knew that, but that Spotify, some of the biggest stakeholders are the major labels. So the whole streaming thing, the whole kind of illegal streaming thing just went, there's no money in this anymore. And all the labels ran scared. But the good thing is for people like us is that we may not drive around in Rolls Royces, and we may not have platinum plaques everywhere, but you get the choice and the chance to make your own music and the music that you want to make, rather than someone in a suit looking at a sales chart and going, right, we think our numbers tell us you should make this sort of music.
Yeah.
So make of that what you want.
Yeah. But then after that, you just went like, yo, independent from now on, let's do this. Yeah. And then we're doing that for a long time. How long do you think you've been releasing music for independently? And getting...
I think probably completely on my own for, God, don't even know how long now. Probably about 15 years, I think. I owned a record label before, but that was just too much work. I did the thing that a lot of labels do, where I try and run it as a community label, which is great, but I take on too many people. I want to give lots of people a chance, and I want to do it, and end up with 15 acts that all want to release something, and it just becomes an admin nightmare. And you just so we just went, blow it all away. I'm gonna not do that anymore. Concentrate on just doing something myself, because you don't release any music, you don't write any music for years because you're busy,
doing everyone else, helping everyone else,
bogged down in paperwork.
Crazy, man. That sounds like a fun thing to do, though, because I've always thought about that. Like, I don't know why I do it, but I've always thought how cool
do you know what?
Own roster and stuff like that.
It's loads of fun. It is loads of fun. If you're going to do it, my only advice is to keep it small. Keep it relatively small. Keep it to a real core that you can do justice to, because I think that's the problem, is when it gets too big, but it's just you and there's no one else to help, you can't give them enough of your time. And that's that's something I think I'd probably, if it was to grow with it, so say I would take on 10 artists, I'd need like a staff to sort of do that, but obviously there's not enough money in it to do that, so unless everyone wants to work for free, because I'm not making any money out of it. So
man, before I get to us though, because I did my research, were you once like in a group, were you called at some point, I don't know, like Death of Hi-Fi, or am I going crazy? All right, tell me about that. That
was me. So that was after the Mysterious 2
Okay.
if you want to call them. So that was started off again as a little bedroom project that, weirdly, I was listening to a lot of like LA beats, like Flying Lotus, Sam I Am, Ras G, that kind of instrumental hip hop, which just sounds nothing like how we ended up. So it's supposed to be like experimental instrumental stuff. Bumped into a guy at a record store day. Yeah, that was it. And he wanted to do some stuff. So we said, yeah, we'll do it. And it was kind of this loose thing that we did. And people started digging it. And it was like amazing. So we started working with lots and lots of different rappers. Some here, some in the US. And it kind of, we put an album together that I was really happy with, really, really pleased about. And it got quite a bit of critical acclaim, which is really good.
What was the album called again? Sorry, what was the album called?
It was called Anthropocene.
Yeah.
So that was, we had like Dizzy Dustin and Copyright, a whole bunch of UK rappers as well, and a couple of singers as well. But the problem is, it was because there was nobody. I couldn't play it live because it was a collaborated album. So you know, you couldn't get more than about 2 people at the same place to do it.
They're all over the place, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. So, and I really wanted to play it live. So I was like, okay, the next thing we do is going to be like, we'll just get one person to do the whole thing, because then at least we know we can go. You know, we've only got one person to get in a room to get on stage. So that was kind of that. So we did brought a singer on board, but it kind of changed a bit, and it went a little bit out of control from my point of view in terms of the style of music. It became more poppy than I think I originally intended it to. But the problem is when you write a couple of songs and then like all these like melodies and stuff come flowing in, going on top of the music, and it's great. And then it's very easy to go, oh, that's the way we should go, and go completely down, making some pop songs basically. So that was kind of it ran its course a little bit, and I was quite happy to sort of at the end just put a break on it and say, but I'm done with this. I want to go back and do something that I want to do on my own. So I sort of disbanded it and started the Subtheory. That was out the back of it. Actually, technically it wasn't. The Subtheory had another name. Hey, what's up, Half Decent?
I was about to mention Half Decent, literally in a second. But carry on.
He was on Anthropocene.
That's what I was about to mention. Yeah, I was gonna play that song in a second.
Oh, okay, cool. We used to play that live when we'd share a lot of stages together. And I always used to challenge him. I used to try and put him off quite a lot because it's quite fast. Obviously, you know, he's got that fast style. And I used to try and put him off. And sometimes I'd try and jump on his back when he's like doing spitting his verse or whatever to try and put him off. So apologies, sorry about that, Chris.
That was the Until I Stopped Breathing, wasn't it? Yeah. I'll play a little bit of that because I've only played one of the songs so far, isn't it?
Have I talked about that? Sorry, man.
No, it's good. That's good though. But yeah, I like this. I do like this.
Cool.
When a gazelle wakes up, he knows it must outrun the fastest line or be killed. When a lion wakes up, he knows it must run faster than the slowest gazelle.
Cool. I've known this for a while.
It doesn't matter what you are to survive. When the sun comes up, you run. I stand in that wet, every night sleepless, only ever listen to what comes out of speakers. Just another action, feelings, extremists running from the people, dies and feeders, trying to lead us into the map of the teachers and brainwash our mind with a mixture of bleachers. It brings new meaning to being defeated when we're lost in the landscape of Jesus, I need to tuck the laces up to my Adidas, hit the ground running and really start speaking, not into the concept of being a weakness and do a lot better than writing about achievements. I learned the colour lesson that only get teachers when joining a legion with a leading genius, and now I feel deeper than other people's secrets, find a way to bullet before it releases. Even the realists can see the convenience of this process being mostly repeated. Even if I seem just to stay sort of sweetness when I keep on running for infinite reasons, trying to make sense of the secretive meanings and steal my ears from the sounds of their speech, and it won't stop running until I stop breathing. Every single night until death is defeated. Every day. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, if you if you're trying to put him off with that, like especially when he's going at that speed.
I'll be honest. I still don't know half of what he says. I always thought I should ask him to write the lyrics out for me so I could tell, because I do that thing where I make them up in my head if I don't know what they are. So I've probably got a completely different set of lyrics to what they actually are. So Chris, if you feel free to drop me what they are, because I would love to know what some of them mean.
But the production on that's crazy though. I love the way the beat just goes with the, you know what I mean?
It's a little bit video game inspired as well. There's I think it's Terrakin 2, which is an old early 90s game. It's like a bit of a shoot 'em up. It's very similar, and I was thinking, I was listening to a lot of video game music because I play a lot of video games, and I think that particular thing was inspired by that. So
okay, yeah, man. Well, I was gonna talk about some of the other music because of like some of the other ones I like. I quite like the Summertime track.
Oh yeah. The remix for
the with is it Kalindo?
Kalindo, yes.
Yeah. Really, yes. So how did that like? It's got like it's the vibe, the way the one hits me. I kind of like that way. Yeah, basically. But yeah, how did that come about? Kalindo and everything.
So I've been a fan
bit different as well. It's a bit different.
Yeah. So I've been a fan of Janelle Monáe for a while since she came out because she's just completely like a proper performer, proper star. Has that slight kind of crazy stage presence. So I was sort of obviously aware of Kalindo previously, and then I grew up on listening to a lot of like funk music. So obviously Kalindo's the nephew of Maceo Parker from James Brown's band.
Okay. Yeah.
If you know your funk, it's like cross the tracks and that sort of stuff. Been sampled those times.
Yeah.
So I kind of got a call from Lee to say, oh, by the way, got this thing, I want to release it. I need some remixes for. Would you be interested in doing one? I was like, yeah. Who was it for? For Kalindo. I was like, what, like Kalindo Parker, Janelle Monáe's guitarist? I was like, he's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So he sent the tracks over, the stems, sorry. And it's the thing I'm like listening to again. It's quite different. The actual original version is quite different. It's like a bit faster and has a slightly different sort of feel to it. More rocky again. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to do something rocky because this guy's an incredible guitarist and he he's a bit of a rock legend. So I'm going to do something different. So I thought, let's take it a little bit trappy, a little trap, kind of southern bounce, a little bit of something that for me would make me think about driving around in the summertime. So driving around with a convertible, whatever. So I thought, so let's just try and get some of that bass. So on a big sound system, it really sort of had that, where you're riding around in cars and stuff. So that's what I tried to do. So hopefully it comes across. I'm
going to play that a little bit.
It's a bit odd because it's kind of, the original was also like, it's got like a bit of a hippie vibe because Kalindo is kind of a bit of a rock hippie. So it's kind of, for me, it was quite cool to sort of do make the two worlds collide a little bit. So
definitely. Well, I'm going to play this one here for a second. There we go. I'll say before I forget though, I always forget to say this, but the thing about your music as well, with your electronic sound and stuff, there's a few like electronic stuff I listen to from other artists, and they're quite long. Obviously, like your stuff's quite long, but the thing is, I don't lose the attention with your stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't lose the attention.
That's really cool.
That's what I'm saying with you. It's very different how I find I listen to you compared to some other electronic stuff. Like I don't fall off. There's some that I listen to and I'll be like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have the attention span for me, but this always does. You know what I mean? And the ways you know,
that's really cool. It's interesting you say that, and thanks for that. I really appreciate it. I always used to write really short songs. So the tracks, it was always my ambition to have a track where it took longer to say the name of it than it did the actual track itself.
Yeah.
But I could never get it working properly. But so for me, I had to force myself to make things a bit longer. But I wanted to make them like a series of short stories, so that sometimes you read like or watching a film or something, you like, this is dragging, this is like it sags there, and so I always tried to keep it quite tight, quite. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot that goes on and it changes, but not so much that it wears you out, but not so much that it bores you. Not so little that it bores you. So it's always about a balance. I kind of want to get in, say the thing I want to say, and then get out before everyone goes, you've outstayed your welcome,
Well, when you've got the longer tracks, I feel like the build up is not boring either. That's the thing. Like the build up is that like it keeps on, you know what I mean? And it's not like, does that make sense?
Yeah. I always have it, and this is a thing. I think it wasn't conscious to start with. It's something that's just developed. Is that I always have the end part with a little payoff. So there's always like a little extra melody or something that comes in at the end that almost goes, right, you stay here this long, you stay with me this long, I'm going to give you a little like here's your payoff, there you go, and then out before you get tired of it. So it's all about hooks. I think it's trying to create that little thing where you want to listen and you want to listen to the end, and then you want to go, actually want to go back to the beginning and listen again. That's the music I love. I grew up listening to stuff where you had a reason to listen to it again. And that's, you must know, and you've probably got like artists that your favorites that you've gone, so they've released something and I'm going to listen to this on repeat, almost to the point that you're bored of it, and then you're probably going to stop a little while and then you're going to do it again. I do that with, there's so many albums that I've done that and I've listened to, or there's a track that's come out. Pusha T, Numbers on the Board. I never get bored of that track. I think it's really, from the intro to the kind of weird, odd production with his really deep lyricist. Like, he's on about like selling crack and stuff, but he's telling it in a way that's like doesn't get boring, doesn't get and then he's out. It's like a 2.5 minute song, and you're like, I'm going to go back and listen to it again. It's phenomenal. So
Push is very underrated.
That's what I do. So.
I say he's very underrated. Always said about Pusha T. Like it's you know what I mean? But man, like, well, going back to your stuff though, speaking of your music though as well, you've had it played on like BBC quite a lot. I saw and found out. Like, did you say it was? I don't know if it's right. You're on Match of the Day or something as well. Match of the Day. Wow, like movies and stuff. How did you get to that point? Like, how did that all? That must be cool.
It's it was my ambition. So I grew up as a kid that loved football, and I wanted to be on Match of the Day. I always said that's my ambition. I want to be on Match of the Day.
Oh, I see.
I didn't realize I was going to be like a musician on Match of the Day rather than a footballer. I was terrible at football. I was a better rapper than I was a footballer, and I'll leave it at that. But it's a thing with TV and film and stuff is I shouldn't say this, but it's kind of almost who you know rather than how good you are. Obviously, you need to you need to be good enough to be broadcaster. It's got to be decent enough quality. But it's a friend of mine works for 5 Live, and then they sort of their partner was the producer for Match of the Day, so heard the stuff and went, can we use it? And I was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, Match of the Day, yeah, of course. And then it was on like the Olympics, boxing, the American football, because they have a couple of games over here, or they did do a couple of games over here. So it was used in that. European Championships in 2016, I think it was. Basically, loads and loads of BBC Sport. So for me, it was amazing because I obviously grew up loving sport and I loved being on, have my music played on that TV as well.
Yeah.
But to then sort of first, so apart from the fact that's a lifelong ambition, right? So I'm on Match of the Day, brilliant.
Yeah.
The kind of crazy thing is I still get royalties for it now.
That's what I say.
So
like,
every now and again,
for it. Yeah.
Every now and again, I get a little statement through from PRS saying it's been replayed this amount of times. So here's some money, and this is from like 3 years ago, 5 years ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
Match of the Day itself. So, so for me, it's like getting paid to fulfill your ambition is just incredible.
That's all. What part of Match of the Day was it? So it was on Match of the Day first, was it? Was that the first thing it was on?
Yeah, that was the first thing.
What part was it? Why they were like still to come kind of thing? Like it was.
It was. They do like these little stories in between. The matches.
Yeah,
and this was a section on. And this is going to sound really crazy when you think about it. Harry Kane had gone through a goal drought and hadn't scored for like 6 or 7 games.
I was a Spurs fan, so I remember.
Oh, well, you're right. There you go. So this was before Spurs Sunderland, and obviously Jermaine Defoe was playing for Sunderland at the time. Yeah. So it's like a bit like people saying, why we've got Harry Kane when we used to have Jermaine Defoe and he's scoring for fun at Sunderland. So it was used underneath that little, and they do the little highlights for the previous games, and then roll it into the actual game highlights itself. So, and he scored in that game. So
there you go. Yeah. What track was it anyway? Nuts,
Serenity, from Death of Hi-Fi. Yeah. So
yeah, because there's a lot of stuff I haven't heard from. I've heard because of I'm more listening to Subtheory stuff. Really, I haven't heard more Death of Hi-Fi stuff, which I need to look into. Like,
I'll send you. I don't think it's happening. I took it all down.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Most of it. There's the first album still up there, I think, but I think I can't remember why. I just went, I'm going to take this down. Might have been the thing where they go.
Sorry, carry on. My bad.
Sorry, say that.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry, carry on. Or I'll say about.
Oh no, it's okay. I wasn't saying anything.
Swim Away is a big tune for you, but I couldn't find that. Is it? Yeah.
I took that down. I think it was on the album, and it automatically came down. I wanted to leave the single version of it up.
Because I'm looking for that one.
I'll send you it. I'll drop you a link to the video as well.
Awesome, man.
Did you watch any of the videos? Because I spend a lot of time. I taught myself during lockdown how to make videos.
Yeah.
Not very well, but I think for me it's almost as much fun as making the music is coming up with like the idea of what I'm going to do, getting loads of footage that I can find, and then working out how to make it look like an actual video. So I find that quite fun.
For Fader,
Oh, okay, right.
And I enjoyed that. So that was all you getting all together, pretty much.
Yeah. So I did it.
I like that. It went so well with it, all the skating and
Thank
stuff.
you. I love skateboarding, so for me it's like, oh my god, I'm just gonna do it. It's some of it's even filmed actually in Oxford at the Oxford skate park. So
yeah,
some of it isn't. So.
So you were filming that as well, though. Were you were actually filming some of them? You say it was the Oxford skate park, so you were filming them.
A little bits of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool as well.
Little bits of it. Yeah.
Because I was thinking you were getting some clips here, from there, and everywhere, sort of thing, and that you can get.
That's mostly, that's mostly what I do. But I also try to, put my own thing in there as well. So it feels more, like do you know what I mean? I've rather than just I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. But so lockdown did help though with learning loads of new stuff. Then pretty much not learning, but being able to do more things yourself, kind of thing. Like you've got a fortnightly show as well, aren't you? Like a podcast kind of thing.
So I do a local radio station do a electronic music show. So every other week, it's called Electropod. It's not. I'll be honest, because it's a lockdown. It's not as much fun as it was before because I don't do it in the studio anymore. I do it, so I record it, put it together, and send it to them. So I'm really looking forward to when we, you know, really properly open up and I can go back in the studio and do it, because it's much more fun to sit there and do it live. You know, bringing the faders up, down, chatting on the mic.
I thought
Think
they
of
would have done
things to
that by
say.
now, but yeah.
Sorry?
I thought that might happen by now, but no, it's still a little bit of time then before they get you back in there. Like.
I think it's going to be maybe next month. I think maybe. Who knows? After this, at the 21st, I think.
Yeah.
We'll see how things are, but it's you know, I'm just trying to be. I'm trying to be respectful. I think of everyone else's opinions on stuff. So
yeah, I guess guess that's the right way, definitely. What was I going to say though? So talk about this year though. Like, what a way to start the year. Was the first track you put out was Life and Time, right?
Yeah,
And
featuring.
I'll play a little bit of that, and then you can tell me about it, because I really like that one as well. That's another one of my favourites. That one. That's when it comes in. There we go. Yeah, nice. Yeah, man, I like that. So yeah, and it's with the last years, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Some friends of mine from Connecticut in the US. It's they're awesome guys. They Drew. We sort of talked about doing some stuff before, and kind of really wasn't sure what, you know, because they are quite different. So although I sort of belong to the synthwave community, I'm not very synthwave myself. The music I make isn't really synthwave, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I always found it quite difficult when people say, "Oh, let's do a collab in that space," because I don't make synthwave, so I don't know how it works. So I just said, look, as long as you sort of trust in me, and I'll just send you something that I think would suit, then let's do this. So he's like, yeah, cool. He's like super up for everything, which is cool. So I had this idea going around in my mind. So I sent him this track, and I sent him a couple of sort of examples of what I thought would work from people like Moderat, some older sort of German electronica. And he was like, straight away, got it. And he wrote this. And I quite liked it because his voice is quite retro. So it sounds a bit like, at points, almost Duran Duran or Simon Le Bon-ish.
Yeah.
And it's quite sweet. And then I put this kind of, I don't know if it comes across in the speakers, but it's quite a really big bass. So it's all bass driven.
I get that, yeah.
Right. So it kind of, for me, I wanted to sort of take that really nasty bottom end and put something like a nice sweet sort of pop vocal on it, on top of it.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of really suited his voice, and I really was really pleased the way it came out. Because it's quite atmospheric as well. It's quite moody. It's a nice. It's a lyric, and I think is about like love and meeting somebody, but it's quite an ominous sounding bottom end, so I thought it worked quite well. Make of that how you want.
No, I do like that track, but like yeah, that's the thing. I do feel like it's very atmospheric, definitely, that track as well. That's probably why I quite like that one. But then I suppose I don't know if you'd say that for a bit of your, like, going into Ventura Boulevard, right? The actual EP. Would you say? I'd say some of that's quite atmospheric as well, though. That's the thing, like, in a way. Not every, yeah. I mean, That's what I'm gonna get onto now anyway. So you know,
Yeah.
you released it last year, didn't you? Yeah. And like
Yes.
what I like
Yeah,
about that
yeah.
EP
So that,
as well. What I like about it is it's like for me that became like a running EP. Like I'd go running with that on. You know what I mean? From start to finish, the tracks and
yeah,
everything. But like, yeah, like I don't
that's
know,
really
it kept
cool.
me going. That did. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
tell me about the start of
That's
that
really cool.
project. Tell me how you began to
So
like, yeah.
so Ventura Boulevard, I think for me I want to tell like a little story. So each of the EPs I do, I tell a little story about how a bit of like the city or like I always have this thing. I've got this sort of in my mind, an imaginary city, and there's all these little stories in it, and they're sort of each little tiny story represents like the little part of that city. So in each EP, like would be in a different section. So there's lots of different people sort of. So that's why sometimes it changes. So it can be ominous and atmospheric in one point. It can be quite light in others, and it can be sort of, you know, like lots of different films. So that sounds much grander. I'm making it sound much grander than it actually is. It's just a way. It's kind of a. I want to tell these little stories that I think are like little films. That's basically it. That's.
Yeah.
I guess I try and make music as if I was making a film. You
Yeah.
know, if that makes
Definitely.
sense.
My favorite track is the title track anyway. Like that's the last track on there, isn't it? The Ventura
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Ventura Boulevard. Yeah, that's my favorite
Yeah.
one out of them. And
Yeah.
tell me about
And you went
that
running.
one.
You took that running. That's crazy.
Yeah, I did that one running. I like running with that one.
Good man.
Shiny Things as well. I find that's quite if that's the one I'm thinking of, that's quite an interesting one as well, that one.
That's the intro. So that's the first track. And it kind of I wanted to sort of almost introduce the whole project. So it's got that weird like old sample at the start that then leads into it, because it's kind of a little bit like saying this is the opening section, this is the opening of the whole project, and I've got another couple of EPs that kind of slot in as companion parts to that.
Okay. Yeah. No, like I really like that EP though. That's so it's been doing good though for you and stuff like that. Like last year. So you really that was like sort of all done during lockdown kind of thing, or was it done before as well, like in a way?
So Ventura Boulevard came out the week we went into lockdown here.
Oh, okay,
like,
yeah.
oh, because I originally planned to like play it out and do shows.
Say that.
Yeah. But no, it was literally the week it came out. It was like, oh, okay, couldn't plan that any worse. So I did another EP that I created after Ventura Boulevard, which came out in October last year.
Yeah.
Which is out on Bandcamp. It's not out on Spotify. It's only on Bandcamp and Apple Music and a couple of others, which is a little deliberate because I wanted to sort of. It was my plan to move away a little bit from Spotify, but it is what it is. I could start giving you my views on Spotify now, but it's a bit of a necessary evil at times.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. In a way though, but like that. So tell me about that EP. I don't know much about that one. I haven't really heard it. The one that's on Bandcamp. Yeah.
It's again. I'll send you it after this. It's quite industrial. So it's it's 4 tracks, and I actually did a video for each track. So it's almost like it's an entire thing in its own right. But it's kind of it's much more electronic. It's much more industrial.
Yeah.
The last track, Impact, is basically it's like something that's like hits you in the head, and then it's got this really sweet ending, which is kind of that's what I wanted to do, is kind of do something that sort of at the very end just kind of turns itself on its head.
That's a sign I like, definitely.
Right, it gives you like this lift, which is really cool. So, and that sort of set the template, because I think from then on, that's like, okay, this is the way I'm going. I'm going into this. I call it dark electro. And I don't know if that's a thing that anybody else does, but that's what I'm calling it. Where it is that atmospheric, ominous sounding stuff. It's that kind of thing where it's almost, you can imagine it as like a horror film type thing, but it's obviously beat driven, so it's not quite that.
Yeah.
Do you watch a lot of films at all? I'm just
Yeah,
do you ever watch like John Carpenter films like Assault on Precinct 13 and The Thing?
Yeah, The Thing. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of what inspires it. But imagine taking all that sort of electronic synth sound and then stuffing it into like more modern kind of beat driven music. That's kind of what I'm going for, I think. And I'm calling it dark electric. And I don't know if anyone else has that already. Was that Dave? No. Oh.
Dark electric. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm coming up with. So
yeah.
Okay. I'm trademarking it. I'm trademarking it.
I was gonna say, yeah, trademark that before someone else does. All right now, you know what I mean? But what is your, actually, at the moment, like, when it comes to your music, if right now, I mean, I suppose pretty much all your tracks and all your EPs, your babies kind of thing, but is there one track at the moment that you kind of like, that's my favorite I've done sort of thing? Or in a way that you've got a favorite at the moment?
My favorite, so I'll tell you what I've got in the works at the moment. I've got an EP.
That was my next question.
Right. So I've got an EP, I've got an album, and I've got a single.
Okay.
That are kind of almost ready to go. I think the single at the moment is my favorite thing I've ever done.
Oh wow!
But it's not quite where it needs to be yet. If that makes sense, it's got something that's missing, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I think it might be a vocalist or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited, but they're nervous at the same time because in my head I can hear it. You know, I know what it should sound like. But trying to get it to there is going to be the bit where it could make or break, and you just go, you know, you must have that thing where you're making something, you're like, this is great. Oh, I've done one thing and it's terrible. Throw it away.
Yeah.
So I have that nervousness about it, but that's probably that. And it hasn't even got a title. It's not even called anything yet. I've got it's got like a working title, but it's not. It won't be what it's called in the end. So
yeah.
It's a bit odd. It's a bit.
That's always the best though.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's unlike anything I've done before. It's faster than I've done anything before, but it's slower as well because it's done in like double time and half time. So it's gonna. I'm building it up, and probably everyone's gonna when they hear it's gonna go. Yeah, that's terrible. But I still like it. So. You know, I still like it, and I think ultimately,
I'm sure I'm gonna like it. Definitely, it sounds like something completely different to what, like, you know what I mean. It sounds like the way you've described it. It sounds like to be something crazy, man.
I think when it's done, if I can get the bit that's missing right, I think it's the sort of thing that I'll go. That's the perfect thing I've been trying to write all these years. Is that thing? So. Not to build it up too much, but
so single, EP, and album. Like, have you got that set out like throughout the year and how that's gonna drop and stuff?
So I think the EP
what's
will
the direction
probably
of the album, the EP. Like, what sort of direction are you going with it as
well? So the EP is going to be, it's going to be kind of a more of the same, more dark electro, but kind of a little bit glitchy at times. And that's going to be probably the next thing, which is going to be end of July, maybe, if I pull my finger out. The album, I think, was originally going to be October time, but it's because it's sort of loosely horror based. It's like it's a bit of a concept album, so it's kind of loosely based like on a horror theme.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So ideally, get it out before Halloween because I was when I was 7. But it's the sort of thing I'll probably at some point go, no, that's too cliche. I'll just release it at some point and not even mention that it's a horror album. And then so the singles fit in somewhere as soon as I can figure out when it's is that AJ Bassard? Just waving at people. So the single probably as soon as I can figure out what it needs, it'll probably come out fairly quickly after that. So maybe over the summer, I imagine, hopefully.
Yeah. You're hoping to get out there and do some sets and stuff again, like, do you think?
Yeah.
For that
so I've got my first
album by then. Yeah.
Sorry, say again.
for the album, if you're going for the album October, there's definitely a good chance of being out there doing everything. 100%.
Yeah. I hope
Yeah.
so. I think I'm going to do a local thing here. So I'm going to do. There's normally a festival around here, around Riverside Festival, and I think I'm going to do play that. They're doing a special thing at the end of July, I think. So I'll be playing that as my first thing, and that's the first kind of thing I'll have done as this project. So that's the testing ground a little bit. So
if I can drive by then, I'll come down. Come down and see, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but you got to be careful. Do they say like how long
6 to 8 weeks.
8 weeks? Oh.
Yeah, possibly so I could drive again, apparently. So, I know that's the problem. But if I can, I'll be there, man. Definitely.
Cool, definitely. That'd be wicked.
Yeah, man. Because I'm in Bedford, so it's not.
Oh, Bedford. Okay, yeah. I used to live in Luton.
Did you?
Yeah, back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Not too far from Bedford.
Yeah, not far at all, man. I was just there. That's where I did my injury in Luton. I played
Really?
football team in Luton.
That's Luton boy.
So throughout the year as well, you've got some like secret little collabs going on as well. You've
yeah. Got,
can you say any about them?
So I've got so I've done a remix for someone called Jenny Mattis, which is coming out in the next month or so, a bit after that. Got another project with it's a bit mysterious, a guy that I don't really know much about. We just sort of connected on Twitter, I think, and we've sort of been exchanging some tracks, and he's just, he's a phenomenal writer, a phenomenal singer's really sort of got an unusual but brilliant voice. So we need to kind of finish that as well. It's one of those things that I've got so much going on. You're like, oh, I need to focus on this thing, and you never get around to doing it. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm doing loads of stuff for soundtracks, as I sort of said before. Some things I can't say too much about, but they're like
when it happens. So.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's a lot of these hearts. That's wicked. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's a question I was going to ask earlier when you were saying about when you started sampling years ago.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you ever sampled? Can you think that far back? I was going to ask that. Completely forgot. That interested me. Just thought, oh yeah.
First thing I ever sampled. This is going to sound so weird. So I used to have. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. Back in the old days. Yeah, this is going to make me sound really old now. You used to have magazines in the shop. They used to have tapes on the front.
Yeah.
So
I remember when there was CDs on the front.
Right.
But there
Well, this is before then, right? So I used to get the weird sort of magazines. I got a fishing magazine and it had a tape on the front, and it had someone who wanted to buy some tropical fish, and it was like a step-by-step guide of how you buy tropical fish. And I sampled that. It was the first proper thing I ever sampled, because I'd make these like weird little beats and stuff on a 4-track tape recorder. So I had like a Commodore Amiga with a hardware sampler thing in it, and I'd run some little beats off it into the 4-track, and I'd run these tapes into it, and that was it. It was somebody coming into a shop with a shop. There's bells that ring when you open the door, like an old school shop, and it said, "Thanks for coming with me to buy some fish." And I was like triggering it and playing it, and just like
that's wicked though.
And at the time I thought, oh, this is genius. This is like, I'm out there, I'm doing this amazing work, and everyone's going to recognise how this is going to change the world. And then you find the tape and you listen back and you go, what on earth was I thinking? I don't know about you, but this is the old days again. But I used to send demos out to people, and I used to put them in the envelope and send them off. And I'd sit there and go, sit and wait, and they're going to recognise, and they're going to contact me, and they're going to say how amazing you are. I'm going to sign you. We're going to give you all this money, and we're going to put you in these studios. And then you realize you get a rejection letter, or you get some rejection letters, and you're like, yeah. You listen back and you go, yeah, it's terrible. What was I thinking?
I suppose at least you got the rejection letters, isn't it?
Well,
Like,
yeah, there's some.
yeah.
Yeah.
That don't happen as much now. Like, yeah. What was it like? Like, oh, I like what you've done, sort of thing. But
It was basically a polite way of saying we're not interested. I used to do a thing, and this is a genuine scam that I used to run. So I used to look up all the A&R people, like all their what their names were, and I'd dress up as a bike courier, and I'd go to like a little phone box. So I go up to London for the day, go up a little phone box and ring up the like EMI or wherever and say, I've got a package for whatever the guy's name was, A&R man. I'll send a bike round now. They go, sure, we'll look out for it. And then I could walk in wearing like a cyclist courier thing, hand the thing over to them with my tape inside, so they think it's important. So they gets the top of the pile.
yeah.
I didn't get signed off for that. Didn't get a sign off, but you get some rejection letters saying thank you, very funny, but it's still not good enough.
Oh man, that was a good idea, though, man. That was good.
yeah. That's,
Mate.
I'd love to be able to say that worked, and but it didn't. So
yeah, but hey, man, things are going good though. Everything seems to be going pretty good at the moment, though. Like, I mean, tell everyone where you can find
it's all
you
good.
as well.
I wouldn't.
Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry. So yeah, I was about to say,
I wouldn't swap it for
you,
anything.
man. That's what I'm saying as well. Like, because you've got a really good website as well, man.
Thank you very much. So that's subtheory.com. Shout out to Lily, Common Gold Creative, for doing that for me. So I'm on Instagram as the.subtheory, as you can see up in the top part of here. On Twitter as the Subtheory. On Spotify, Apple Music. On Bandcamp. Give me a follow. Give me a like on YouTube, and say hi, because I'll always reply, and always like to hear what people think as well. So yeah, don't be afraid to at me, as they say.
Yeah, drop a message and everything. Support the music, and go check it out, man. Because it is good, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Coming out, very much
Thank
enjoying
you.
it.
No, so I really appreciate you taking the time, and thanks for doing it whilst you've got like an injury in it as well.
That's all right, man. I hope I'm still giving the energy though. That's the thing. Because I thought, I ain't got a complete.
Yeah.
It's
Good.
Yeah, good. That's all right, man. But yeah, man, we'll talk soon, man. Keep me updated with everything. I'd like to see some of that stuff that hear some of that stuff I'd heard, like that you said you send me through and stuff. Definitely, man.
Yeah, I'll drop it over. I'll do it a little bit later on tonight, but I'll definitely drop you a link or two. So yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on, man. I'll definitely have you on again in the future. I'll definitely talk about stuff in the future when the album drops and stuff and everything. We come talk about it. Go track for track, definitely.
Oh, well, yeah, wicked, definitely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for having me, man.
Hey, no worries, man. Thanks for being on, bro. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
See you later. And then I think you've got to log it off. Yeah.
Oh, I got to log off.
That's
the bit that's unprofessional. Go.
That's all right.
See you later, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Hey, man, that was great, man. Check out everything from the Subtheory. Like, literally go everywhere, man. It's some good music. It is some, honestly, like, I say, like I said before, I've listened to some of his stuff, like Fader recently. I've been running, before I did this, and that's been, like, helped me through my running and stuff like that. Like, honestly, go check that stuff out. Go check all his music out. Go follow him. Go check out, Bandcamp and everything's on there and everything as well. And some interesting stuff coming out, as he said, in the future, like soundtrack stuff. So, yeah. Hey, no worries. Thank you very much for being on Subtheory. And we're back next week with you on the track. So that should be an interesting one too. But thank you guys. Exit out. Thank you, everyone. Loud.